for my center again, where the center will always be. When I'm searching for my center again, is where the center's always been. It's always been, 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 always been.
Good morning, Sacramento Center for Spiritual Living. Wow, was that a fun video? Reminds me of the wonderful teamwork that goes on in our center at Sacramento CSL. And you're going to see some examples of that teamwork today. I'm Ruth Hall, President of the Board of Trustees and your production manager for the virtual events. If this is your first time seeing us on Zoom, we want to make sure you know that this service will be recorded and used on social media. That way people who can't be with us on Zoom today can see it on YouTube or Facebook later on. So if you want to, you can change your name or turn off your video. But remember that after the service, we have a fellowship time, and that's not recorded. So we'd love to have you come to fellowship and turn on your video and say hello. Also, if you're new and you want more information about Sacramento CSL, after the service is over, use your chat and put your information in, and we'll be able to send you emails and information. You can also put your email information in our webpage at www.saccsl.org. Otherwise, let's not use our chat today during the service so that we create a sacred space that is free of distractions. And then later on in the fellowship, we'll open up the chat again. And now, please join me in welcoming our beloved team leader and senior minister, Reverend Sharon Dunn.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's good to see everybody. Let's all unmute and say good morning to each other.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning, good morning.
Beautiful morning.
I love that part. So let's get started. And I'm going to open our service with our bell, which I love so much. And after that, we are going to have our practitioner of the day take us into the service. And our practitioner of the day is Linda Connolly, who is also the director of our outreach ministry. Her husband is clapping vigorously there. Apparently she has a fan there. Not to mention that she and her husband were born on the same day. Just, I don't know why I need to tell you that, but they just had their birthday and we all wish them a happy birthday and a happy new year, right? Awesome. So stay after service if you'd like to know more about outreach because they're having their meeting today. So let's get started.
Good morning. Let's breathe in and out as we become part of that wind of change. That change that is embraced in spring as new beginnings. It is that breathes life into a day that we have never, ever experienced before in our life. As we breathe in and out in this wind of change, we're breathing in and out in the divine creative intelligence. That is the creator that's created all of creation. It is infinite in its supply, infinite in its creativity. And in creativity brings change, brings newness, brings release, growth, and expansion. And it is this that expresses in, through, and as each and every one of us here, it is that has brought us together in this loving, supportive spiritual community as we embrace the newness of spring, the breeze that brings with it the change, the budding, the trees and the flowering. For that is change. Beginnings is change. And to guide us through this change, we've come together, and as today, this Sunday gathering unfolds so perfectly with the guidance of Ruth Hall, our production manager. It is that flows in, through, and as the practitioners, Debbie, Margie, and Linda. It is this supportive love and embracing change that is expressed as Reverend Patricia, as the musicians, struggling with that word today, that so engage all of our other senses with their passion of their words and their music that lifts and often moves us into new perspectives. And it is this message of stepping into change that is so lovingly delivered by Reverend Sharon as she guides and supports each and every one of us and our center through change, for we're constantly experiencing change, especially through this last year. And I am so eternally grateful for each and every one of us here that have gathered so that we can support and learn from each other as we embrace the change and the newness of spring. And so it is.
And good morning. And now for our readings. If you'll just relax and read along with me quietly. Do we not see a visible world that seems to change? And if we do, how is it that it could come from something that never changes? Yes, we do see a changing world, but back of it is a changeless substance. The thing that changes is the thought or form. The substance from which this form comes never changes. Ernest Holmes. Instead of being confused by the situations around us, we should be calm, tranquil, and confident that through reforming our word, we can as easily change the existing conditions as perpetrate them. Ernest Holmes. Keeping the goal in mind, refusing to be baffled or defeated, with uplifted thought and calm by definite purpose, we cannot fail. Ernest Holmes. I welcome all thoughts, feelings, emotions, persons, situations, and conditions. It is these moments that we are broken open and can release the blockages in our lives. Otherwise, we hold them onto them with resistance. The Welcoming Prayer by Richard Roll. And now for our April books of the month, I'd like to introduce Love and Law by Ernest Holmes, Timeless on Timeless Wisdom, as usual with Ernest Holmes, and Elastic by Leonard Malodino, I believe. And that looks like it's stretching our imagination and moving forward. So I encourage you to check these out on Amazon and order them through Amazon Smile through our center would be great. Thank you. And now it gives me great pleasure to introduce our very own in-house poet, Doug Van Wilcom. Doug has been performing his original poetry of Rumi and Hospice, accompanied by his drum for 20 years. He's a regular performing artist in our center, and today we're getting an original work of art. Welcome, Doug Van Wilcom.
Good morning, everyone. I wrote this poem a few years ago while exploring the ideas around the how and why I came to be the kind of person I was and what it takes to remake myself. And I'm still exploring those ideas. The first part looks at how, from the very beginning of our lives, we receive so much input from parents, family, friends, and the culture around us, and it deeply shapes how we are in the world. And by the end of the first part of this poem, I find myself asking a dark question. But don't worry, I won't leave us hanging there. That's not what this service or this teaching is about. In the second part of the poem, I answer that question by exploring a different way of thinking that I was not raised with, yet it has always been available and true. This is called Question Answer. If so much of what we've learned entered our lives before we even grasped language, if so much of the world's unending influence, both subtle and brutal, breached our childhood defenses so deeply that it became the foundation of how we think and feel and love and live and hold right and wrong in our hearts, if so much of what we unconsciously believe must by its very nature rise up through us and become the color and fabric of our lives, then what hope do we have? If it's true, our need to grow beyond our own limitations is so old that not even the stones can remember when it began. If it's true that when we take something so deeply into our hearts, it enters our blood. If it's true, the only way to move beyond our own old, limiting life story is to create a new, more compelling story to take its place. If it's true, we are all born into some kind of shared history, yet we are each free to go where we've never been before every time we have a healthy new thought. If it's true that what we give our attention to does expand, and we can learn to grow in ways other than through suffering and lack, if it's true, we are always standing at the growing edge of our own existence, and if it's true, we are all meant to be the servants of excellence, then we can create our own redemption. Thank you.
Hear the wind of change. 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 You can feel the wind of change, the healing wind of change. See, we can see the wind of change. We can be the wind of change.
So are you getting a hint that we're going to be talking about change today? I want to tell you that the winds of change is the topic for today. And our theme for the month is stepping into the unknown. And wasn't Doug's poem enough for today? My heavens, let's give him some hands up. Hands up. That was amazing. I want to hear it again and again. I want to see it written. It's It was so perfect for today, for what we're going to talk about today. You know, Ernest Holmes says, change is the law of human experience, for only God is permanent. You know, I do have a question there. God is permanent, but he creates, or she creates, right? Or it creates, however you want to identify. It's creation that is always changing. That is not fair. Again, I have some questions when I get there. How many of you would love to master your reaction to change? Anybody with me? Mastering your reaction. I would like to master reaction, period. I was talking to my prayer partner this week about it, and I said, that will be my prayer. And she goes, okay, I'll just pray for you to not be human anymore. Thanks. Thanks a lot. Ernest Holmes also says change is the only thing that's permanent. Wow. Okay. The only thing we can say of anything that looks static is this too shall pass. If it were not so, the infinite would get caught in its own mold. God would be stopped by its own creation, and creativity would be absorbed in its creation. I know that's very heady, but let's explore it together. So 3 things I'm going to talk about today is reaction to response, meaning reaction to response, not reaction to response, and disorder to order, and embracing change. You know, I love when I have these themes, these topics to explore, because my life explodes with opportunity, with fodder for the talk. So I think from the rest of the, spring, or maybe even into summer, my topics are going to be enlightenment, peace, joy, not reaction, not reactivity. So let's look at react. What is react? It's an act in response to something. I wish it was response, but it isn't. It is an act. Do you see that? It's an action. It's something that happens. A reaction is a reverse movement or tendency, or an action in a reverse direction or manner. I know that also sounds a little bit heady, but let's just think a minute about thermodynamics. That isn't heady. There are 2 types of reactions: reversible and irreversible. And we're talking about thermodynamics and chemistry, aren't we? We're all very versed in that. We could teach that, couldn't we? Well, equilibrium, and the principle of detailed balance means that we can get to a place of balance in reactivity. An equilibrium condition is the rate of forward reaction balanced by the corresponding reverse reaction. Now, why am I bringing all this up? I'm bringing all this up because it's so clever of spirit to create a universe that scientifically matches our behavior. We have this science of thermodynamics to look at the causation, if you will, of why anything in the universe reacts to anything. Therefore, it's a reality. It really is that we have reactions to things. It really is that we can have a balance. It really is that with our reactions, we can reach equilibrium. And from equilibrium, what do we have? The birth of response. Wouldn't that be lovely if we could just get to response and not have to go backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards? Well, which results in what? Apologies, forgiveness work, messy relationships, right? Reactions are done on impulse without putting thought into it or considering what the end result might be. Because if we could consider for a moment what the end results could be, then we could see into the future and our relationships would be in equilibrium and we would feel like we were in balance. And then we would be the Dalai Lama or Deepak Chopra or Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King. Oh, wait a minute, Jesus. Or wait a minute. They did have reactions to things. That's right. Why? Because they're human. So, what I would love to do is I would love to get some mastery over my reactions. Would anyone here like to get any mastery over your reactions to things? Well, I have an idea. I have an idea. I have an idea. I have such good news because we are students of Ernest Holmes. Ernest Holmes is the founder of our teaching, and he is the author of the Science of Mind textbook and many other books. But what he did was, as we all know, he synthesized all of the great teachings in the world and funneled it into a comprehensive teaching. Did he not? And so if we remember the changeless, if we could remember, which means there might be a discipline of practice, correct? We might have to form a behavior, but if we could remember for a moment spiritual principle, kind of like my cupcake, right? My cupcake is the situation, condition, or circumstance. My reaction to it is the cupcake. And then I top it with this icing of principle. So what would happen? Oh, my heavens. I would remember that the person in front of me is me. I would have compassion. I would like you. I would want to make it right with you. I would want to be in equilibrium with you. I would like to be in balance with you. I would like to shut my mouth first, think about who and whose you are, trust that, and then open my mouth. Who would like that? You know, there's that example, right? You're at a concert and, you know, because we always use the one where you stop at the stoplight and there's somebody that's, you know, cutting you off. And we always use that one, right? But what if we're in like a crowd, like a concert? Or how about with the pandemic, we're not 6 feet away with a mask on? What if we get so close that we almost touch one another and you throw some stink eye, because all we have is our eyes, right? We've got a mask on. You throw some stink eye at that person, you might even want to whack them. Or you might become the masked marvel and look at that person that's so close to you, not wearing their mask properly, and knowing they are perfect, complete, and whole. And put a little smile under that mask. Say a little quick prayer, and then open your mouth. What would be different? What would be different? Now, reactions are done on impulse. Now, the thing is, what I want to know, and what I want you to know, is that reactions are not conscious. They're unconscious. Whereas a response is more thoughtful and done with reasoning. Oh, right? Reasoning. Who knew? People who respond put their thoughts ahead of their actions. I want to say this. People who respond put their thoughts ahead of their actions. I want to say all of us do that. And all of us don't do that. So I don't want you to think that people doing the response is not you, or those are special people that get to know how to respond appropriately to people, to situations, to circumstances, to conditions, whatever it is. Dr. David Bruner was talking about Pavlovian reactions to things. What reminds you? What is a smell or a sound that creates a reaction in you? We're wired this way, guys. There's nothing wrong with us. We have reactivity and we have responsive potential. It's thermodynamics. It's the very basic cellular makeup of humanity, of being on Earth. We don't get to say, well, I came here and I don't react to things. I respond. Now, I'd like to tell you, there are some people that really have some mastery of this. My sister is one of them. I've told you this before. We are almost polar opposites in this behavior. She is my guru. I can give her any situation, any scenario. I can watch her responding to people. I can go shopping with her and see how she interacts in the world. And it is amazing, delightful. She's a Buddhist teacher, and somehow she has learned to be in equilibrium. She has learned to be graceful in the world. She's learned to be in balance. Now, lucky for me as her sister, I've seen her when she's caught off guard. Isn't that a fun thing to do? How many just love to be caught off guard and have some Pavlovian experience? I've seen that in her. And thank God, because I can remember that and throw it at her when I am trying to knock her off her Buddha rock. People who respond put their thoughts ahead of their actions. They think and formulate an intelligent and suitable reply before being vocal. Who knows somebody like that? I don't see. Okay, Anne does. I'm thinking, Anne, you're kind of like that. You're kind of my guru. You kind of respond that way. You ponder and then you'll be like, Okay, we all want to be Anne. They think and formulate intelligent and suitable reply before becoming vocal. And this momentary, and mind you, it's momentary. If it's momentary, why can't we just grab that idea and start practicing that every day? It's just momentary. How do we create that moment? Maybe even have something to remember to do. I tell people when they go on an interview and they're asked a question, wait 3 seconds before you reply. 3 seconds feels like an eternity when your heart rate is 120. 3 seconds feels like an eternity, but when you stop and you think and you can have a reply, I say, how about just say, that's a good question. That's a great reply to wait that 3 seconds, isn't it? That's a good question. I'll get back to you on that. Let me think about that. But waiting that 3 seconds in an interview type situation where you have to have a response feels almost like, well, this is a deep thinker in front of me. When in fact, you're just calming your heart rate down, just taking a breath and thinking. Very interesting when you're doing talks on Sunday is to take this breath in and give spirit an opportunity to respond. Wouldn't that be amazing if we gave spirit an opportunity to respond for and as us? How life would be different. Wars would be over. A lot would happen if we allowed spirit to respond for us. This is the good news here on reaction to response. The choice of reacting or responding is entirely in your control. Oh, dear God. That is not necessarily good news, is it? Because guess what? An apology, making amends, cleaning that up is also part of that out of controlness for something that we have control of, right? So Ernest Holmes says, instead of being confused by the situations around us, we should be calm, tranquil, and confident that through reforming our word, we can as easily change the existing conditions as perpetuate them. Wouldn't you have loved to meet him? Keeping the goal in mind, he says, refusing to be baffled or defeated, with uplifted thought and calm but definite purpose, we cannot fail. You know, as we go into disorder to order, I was wired to be highly reactive. That doesn't mean that I can't have mastery over my reactivity. Have you ever heard that term where someone says, I'm sensitive? Debbie and I were talking about that. I hope that's okay to say, Debbie. We were talking about how alike we are in some ways. We were trying to find our alikeness. And one thing that we are together is very sensitive. And if you're very sensitive, that means that you're hardwired towards reaction. And so it's a great way to be in the world. I love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. What I want to trade in is my response time. What I want to trade in is my timing. I want to stretch out those nanoseconds so that I can respond consciously. And more than that, that I can remember principle, that I can respond through principle so that my reaction isn't problematic. The last thing I want to do is hurt someone. And so if I'm acting from hurt, I have to hurt. Hurt people hurt people. And so what do I have to do? I have to either see a practitioner, a prayer partner, whatever I have to do to find out where am I hurt? You know, where am I hurt? Disorder to order Often in life, there are upsets which bring disorder to our lives of presumed order. Have you ever had an upset that has brought disorder to your life? Patricia has such a happy face. It's like a natural human reaction is to seek order and resist the disorder, which is demanding a change in direction, continuing to muddle through and remain in the zone of comfort and ease. Look at us, guys. We are these human beings, sensitive, reacting to what? Everything that happened to us before we were 3 years old. How then are we perfect, complete, and whole? We are perfect, complete, and whole in the truth of who we are, guys. All of us are perfect, complete, and whole. Even that person who's acting bat crazy, just, you know, all of us. In these moments of upset, in the normal calm of everyday life that offer the opportunity for change, right? Change. Opportunity for change. They become openings that can set one off sailing into life in a new direction. Yay! Propelled by the creative energy of divine life. Often you must reflect on what good or is helpful from the past. Otherwise, you may need to spend your energy on resistance or reaction. Some things are reflex. Reflex is an action that is performed as a response to a stimulus and without conscious thought. It's an automatic response to stimulus, like sneezing. Have you seen a pattern, a reflex that you have to certain things, situations, circumstances, conditions, personalities, the news, whatever it is conditioning? Have you noticed you have a reflex? Have you noticed that your reflex can sometimes get you into trouble? Margie's laughing. She's like kicked back on. Ha, 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 ha. That is so funny. Well, thank God I have mastery over my reactions. As you all know, I am the master. You can count on me to react. You can count on me to react. How about this? The practice of welcoming these moments into your life can be the key to bringing you back to the place of acceptance, to surrender, which then allows the winds of change to blow you in a new direction and the creative power of the universe to propel you forward on this new path. Yeah, I usually get there after I've cleaned up the mess. After I've cleaned up the mess with someone who is generous enough to clean that up with me, who's generous enough to open their heart to my human frailty, do the work with me, stay in there with me. Do you know that when you tell me the truth, I feel cared for? Now, I really like to control the way you tell me. That's you got to tell me sweet and soft. You got to bring me flowers first. You got to tell me, are you ready? Do you have your water, your Kleenex? This is going to be a difficult conversation. How are you feeling? Are you ready for it? Everything good? That's the way I like it. However, that's not the way it's generally given, is it? Yeah, no. Hey, how about family? They're a good time. I think family is super fun for the winds of change. Don't you? I love that. How about embracing change? Um, how many of you feel like you do embrace change? And I'm not sure what this means. It's like come see, come saw. Sometimes, sometimes not. Embracing change. You know, it's so funny because though I'm a sensitive and though I am reactive, I love change. What is that about? I love you know, if we're doing the same thing, and you guys know me this way. If we start doing the same thing all the time, what happens to me? Hey, let's change it up. Come on, let's be spontaneous. Let's not do that again. Sometimes I feel like I'm a nomad, not only in the way I live, but in the way I think. Got to always be doing something different, finding out something new. Isn't that funny? Like like I've been in this house for 3 years and I'm thinking maybe it's time to move. And then I think, why? I'm fine here. Yeah, but I've been here 3 years. So funny that embracing change is me. It's me. Now embracing change, it doesn't mean the same thing as reactivity to change. Embracing change means, yeah, I always want something new happening, something new and exciting, something new to learn. Oh, I was so excited to learn about thermodynamics and reactivity. Because, you know, when I was thinking about thermodynamics and reactivity, there are 4 basic chemical reactions. We're talking thermodynamics again. One is synthesis, one is decomposition, one is single replacement, and one is double replacement. I know this sounds very heady, but I was trying to think of it spiritually. Synthesis, for example, is the combination of ideas to form a theory or system. Well, how fun is that? Well, I mean, I love to combine ideas and form theories, and you know me, love to create systems. Decomposition, the state or process of rotting decay. Well, isn't that me and my thinking when it's no longer serving my highest good? And I don't want to let it go. I don't want to do the work. I don't want to explore it. I don't want to look deeply into it. And what happens in my relationships? They rot. They start to decay. They stink. Do you have any relationships like that? Please? How about single replacement? One element replaces another, or double replacement when 2 compounds exchange ions, producing 2 iconic compounds. I love that. I love to build new ideas and new ways to look at things, create new theories in life. So why can't I master the one thing I don't like? I don't like my unconscious reactions to things. But that is something I'm going to have to make friends with, guys, because it's human. Human, being human. Doggone it. You have a choice to stay in the comfortable, the order that you know, or to take a step into chaos or disorder. Opening yourself to release blockages and make the choices to create a life that works for everyone. Well, let's start with a life that works for you. How would you like to be as you greet change? As you consciously poise yourself in the realization that you live in pure spirit, wouldn't that be wonderful to remember when you meet change? Wouldn't it be nice if we could take 3 seconds to react, and in those 3 seconds, we remember that we live in pure spirit. New power will be born within you to meet reaction. Your thermodynamics will be more in equilibrium and balance. Wouldn't that be good? I want some of that. I want what she's having, balance and equilibrium. And our commitment to our vision is really wonderful for the banks of the river, our vision that we spent all of March on, which is why now we're looking into the unknown, because we're letting the vision drive itself. So if we look at the vision and we're reacting to something, we could literally say, does this fit my vision? Does this fit my vision for my life? Does this fit the vision for my behavior? Does this fit the vision? My vision for my life is love, is to bring love, be love, in my wake, leave love. Well, gosh, if that's my vision, if I could take 3 seconds in this exchange to remember that vision for my life, I would love to be able to in a reaction to hold my heart. My sister says, hold your heart. Hold your heart in that 3 seconds. You're going to notice your heart rate up in a reaction. You're going to notice, you could even put your hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and notice that, ooh, something's going on in my body. Something's going on in my body. Well, let's take that 3 seconds. Well, in that 3 seconds, if I could remember, oh my heavens, I am the divine. So are you. If I could trust you, meaning if I could trust myself, because you and I are one, then I would trust that equilibrium and balance is God's idea of itself as my life. And that doesn't mean that we don't sit with our reaction for a minute, because we're human. We're going to react to everything, anything that's new and different, especially. This is what change is. We're going to react. We are going to react. Yay! Everybody give a high five for we are going to react first. We have to react first. That's the way it works. That's the way it works to create a belief. There's a reaction to whatever it is. And then we form a thought, a feeling, an emotion. And then we see that situation again and we have a memory of that. And then so we start to form a pattern where we don't even have to look at what the original change was. We just have a reaction. We just have a belief. Oh yeah, that person is, yep. Yeah, that person. I don't know how you are in your relationships, but have you ever formed a belief about something and you never have to visit it again? Well, that person is just so and so. Well, that person is just such and such. Well, that person's just going to do this and that. Well, I just skip that person altogether. I don't even need to love that person because that person is this and that and such and such. And have you ever stopped choosing love because of your reactions? Of the beliefs that you formed from your reactions? How about let's just tip into condemnation for a sec, because that's just such a fun place to be. Have you ever diagnosed someone? Well, that person just has this DX. And so let me look into the DSM-3 to find out how I should, handle this person. Have you ever handled someone? I'm gonna handle that person. Please raise your hand. No one's done that. Oh my gosh. I just read that somewhere. It's nothing I've ever experienced. I read it somewhere. Here's the deal, guys. We have the opportunity to choose how we're going to live forward. We can actually choose to replace a behavior with a new behavior. And we talked about this in mental equivalence last week in the class that we're going to teach again in the near future. We talked about if you replace a behavior, you actually would have to replace the story, which means that you couldn't tell the story, the same old story anymore. You have to come up with a whole new story. And I have realized in my life that I am attached to certain stories and I have made them, drum roll, my identity. Have you ever made a story your identity? This is who I am. I've always been this way. Oh, this is how I am. I'm always going to be this way. I was born this way. I'm going to die this way. I'm going to end with this little story. The story comes from a dear friend of mine, a minister colleague, a litter mate who lives in Switzerland and started a center there. God bless her. She says, on Lake Leman, near Geneva in Switzerland, situated between the Alps and the Jura Mountains, there are more than 70 different winds. On the days when there is very little wind, sailors scan the becalmed lake looking for any ripples in the water. When located, the skipper changes direction and heads towards the disturbances to find the wind that is blowing there. The sails fill up and the boat receives the power to sail quickly towards its destination. Those who are most successful in locating disturbances on the water reach their destination and complete the race. They have embraced the changing winds. So what I'm saying here is we're not going to master reaction. Okay? We're not going to master reaction. Reaction is the necessary part of change. What we're going to master in increments with a lot of forgiveness work in the background is our response to things. We're going to have mastery of our responses. And you know how we're going to do that? We're going to do that using spiritual principle. It is not easy. It is simple. You know why it's simple? Because we have this teaching, and most of you have been in this teaching long enough to know what a response in spiritual principle is. And this is wonderful news. And as you deepen your spiritual practices of welcoming everything into your life and seeing blockages and disappointments as opportunities, gracefully accepting them with an open heart, you surrender to the normal process of disorder, reorder, order, which propels you forward in the direction of the vision for your life. Isn't this the best news ever? And the last thing I'm going to ask you, because I love you all so much, is please forgive me when I don't choose love. Please forgive me. Because that is not the vision for my life. And I know that you all support the vision, God's idea of itself as the life of Sharon. Let us pray. Oh my gosh, I have good news. There's a power and a presence that's always on call. No matter what change is happening, this is the changeless. The changeless that is love, light, peace, harmony, kindness. It is the creator of all life. And that means that all life is infused with this loving spirit. That means that each one of us always has this on-call nature within us that we can call on anytime, that we wait 3 seconds in the winds of change to remember who we are, to remember who it is that stands before us. When there's conflict, we remember principle to achieve equilibrium and balance. When we don't choose love, we ask for forgiveness. We forgive ourselves first and foremost. This community is blessed with the agreement that love is our purpose, our vision, and our mission. And we bring others to us to practice this, to gain mastery of this ability to respond. I am so grateful to know that it is as simple as allowing God to step in any situation, circumstance, and condition to meet it first. God, you go first. God, you go first. What would God do? What would Spirit do? I am that is, and I know that for every sentient being. And I trust it. I trust it. No matter what the behavior looks like, I am not recognizing the divine nature as behavior ever. I move the curtain of behavior out of my sight to see the true nature of the beloved in everyone. This is my prayer. This is an answered prayer. And I give thanks for that. And I allow it to be so. And as we say, in agreement. And so it is.
Madam X, throw away your crystal ball, 'cause it will never tell you all about me. you want to have a taste of what it's like to feel this safe in the magnitude of heaven's grace? That's been right here all along. It's been right here all along. Yeah. I am coming home. I am coming home. I am coming to the heart of a mother, strength of a father, joining hands with all of my brothers in a love that's true, created just for me and you. All you really have to do is know that you were never left behind in the beauty of mankind, the miracle you tried to find. It's been right here all along. It's been right here all along. It's been right here all along. Right here all along. It's been right here all along. Right here, right here. It's been right here all along. Oh, with the heart of a mother and strength of a father, with my brothers, all my brothers. It's been right here all along. Right here all along. It's been right here all along. It's been right here all along. Right here all along. It's been right here all along. It's been right here all along.
Good morning. We are offering you the opportunity to give. Reverend Sharon has just spoken to us brilliantly about change and the changeless, about responding and reacting and responding. And as you respond, as we respond with our gifts, take a moment to feel and know we live in the lap of divine abundance. And that is the changeless. That is all that is ever happening here. We thank you for your gifts. There are 3 ways to give. One is on our website, www.saccsl.org. One is to mail a personal check to our address, and that is on the screen, or you can find it on the website. And the third is to sign up, if you haven't, for Amazon Smile and to make your Amazon purchases by switching over to Amazon Smile when you hit that buy button. We thank you for your gifts. We thank you for being here. Please remain muted and join with me in saying and feeling this abundance affirmation. Abiding by the law of circulation and in heartfelt gratitude, I affirm that I live in a creative and abundant universe that continuously flows in, through, and out as me, expressing as the ever expanding infinite good. And so it is. And now for Reverend Patricia bringing our announcements.
Hello, hello, hello. We have wonderful news. We have started a class on mental equivalence and decided that it needed more people because the class is so rich that having a larger number of people allows for this really vibrant sharing. The class is a perfect follow-up to last month's topic, because when you vision, something comes through us. When we vision, something comes through us where we're able to set an intention for what it is we want in our lives, what we want more of. But in order to translate that into a demonstration, there's a step in the middle. And that middle step is to set a mental equivalent. And this is a class that teaches us how to go from intention, a clear intention, to creating that mold, that mental mold that spirit fills, that we call a mental equivalent, that then becomes our demonstration. Now, one of the wonderful things about this class is there are going to be several people in it that have a great deal of experience in the teaching. And I know that when I was fairly new, being around people who were comfortable in the teaching was really inspiring. But the classes are also designed in a way that we go into breakout groups so that we are able to meet the material in a way that works best for us. So again, the more people we have in the class, the richer experience it is. And I'll guarantee this is going to be a wondrously rich experience. So we're thinking about moving it to start sometime in May. So please let Reverend Sharon know if you're interested, or you can go on to, you probably can go on to the meetup place and register, but make sure you let Reverend Sharon know. We would love to see you in the class. We also are having a meeting of the outreach committee. This is the committee that just finished organizing the food bank collection that we just had. And they're hard at work on their next project, which I'm told is going to include some kind of social interaction like when we met at Rausch Park. So if you're interested in connecting with like-minded folks that want to do work in our community, please stay after the social hour for the outreach committee meeting with Linda Connolly. She is a soul of wonder. Now, Wisdom Wednesday is also going to be a perfect follow-up to March, because we spent all March talking about visioning, and Wednesday, Reverend Sharon is going to lead a visioning process for our homecoming. The COVID is starting to get under control, and we are looking at being able to come back to a physical home and to see each other, not just on Zoom, but also in person, not instead of, in addition to be able to have a community that's both electronic and live. So come Wednesday for our visioning. Be sure that you bring a pen and paper, and it will start with a meditation. Visioning process generally starts with a meditation. So there will be some quiet, some very quiet time to begin with to get settled. And then Reverend Sharon will move us into our visioning. Now, for everything else, go check out our Facebook, go check out our website, go check out our meetup. We have lots of ways that you can keep track of us. And we truly are delighted that you are part of our community. Wherever you are, wherever you find yourself, that's the nice thing about Zoom, is that you can join our community wherever you are. Thank you.
Reverend Patricia, that was fantastic. I would like to just make one addition. Something wonderful happened on the ministers listserv, where all the ministers put their YouTube channel in an email for us to click on, and then go to their YouTube channel and subscribe. And if we get 100 people subscribing, we raise our social media platform on YouTube. We get a lot more privileges, a lot more exposure. We lift up to a different level of the use of YouTube on social media. So if you would all go to our website, Go to our website. You can see our YouTube channel. Click on that and subscribe and get your friends to subscribe. That would be a huge help to us. And if you need any help with that, let us know.
Take me with you, I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to see another part of me. Take me with you. Take me with you. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Shape and blow. Now I am willing to start a brand new chapter of my heart. Take me with you, I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to make a choice. This new path needs my voice. Take me with you, I'm ready to go. Let the winds of change shape and blow. Now I am willing to let go. I surrender, and I know I am willing to let go. I surrender, and I know.
And our gift of affirmation this week is I am consciously aware of the presence of divine in everyone around me. Now for our prayer request, there are two ways that you can do that. You can do that via chat on our screen, or you can go to our website at www.sacsl.org. And whichever way you choose to do it, our practitioners and the ministers will pray on them all week. So you will be on our altars. And now for a benediction. So as we get prepared to go out and experience the rest of our day, we open to welcome the creative power of change. As Doug says, we release the question so that we can receive the answer. But the winds of change are always there. But we need to remember, as Reverend Sharon said, that there is always change in the changeless. And from that, we live to embracing and welcoming that change that takes us to our growing edge, to those new experiences. And for all of this, we are so, so grateful. And so it is. Now, please stay on for our fellowship, and it will not be recorded.